Hello, everybody. Hey, today's Tuesday, June the 28th.
I'm Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia.
Hey, Glenn. I'm Jeff Zayas in Napa, California.
Hey, everybody. I'm Duke Carrico, and hey, man, this is episode 115. And hey, guys, tonight we're going to cover, the headphone jack. A lot of controversy on the iPhone and the headphone jack, and Nalay Patel on The Verge wrote a pretty scathing article. I want to get the panel's input on that. Hey, rumors are that Huawei is working on its own version of Android. Really? Hey, another fork? And hey, we're going to talk about cheap Chinese phones and the latest Google Nexus rumors. And also a rumor that Google is going to be introducing its own phone. No, not a Nexus, but Google's own phone where they build the hardware and the software. And supposedly we're going to see this in December. Hey, guys, we're going to be talking about this and oh, so much more. Good evening, panel. How's everybody doing?
Doing okay.
Enjoying the summer.
You know, I was just, talking to Bruce. I think, Jeff, I don't think I've seen you around. I've seen Glenn a time or two and spoke to Glenn, but you and Glenn have been,
yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah. I don't know you know this. We ended up selling the RV, right? So I had to get it ready and do all this stuff. And
oh, no.
Well, no, it's good. It's all good. Yeah. We wanted to sell it, so that was a good thing. And it did sell, and then I had to put in a new water line in my one property, and then the water heater broke, and I put a water heater in. So it's been one thing after another, you know. It's been an expensive kind of week. Money goes in one way, comes out the other.
Hey, well, I was just telling Bruce before we went on air, Jeff, I don't think you'd come in yet. I talked to a financial advisor today about retiring. And,
good for you.
He's got me pretty fired up.
He's ready to retire tomorrow if he can.
Yeah, especially when they do the number and go, oh, when do you think you're going to die?
Jokes about that, you know. I told him, hey, listen, nobody lives long in my family. I mean, you know. But yeah, hey, and listen, Glenn, I don't know if you were muted or what. We went on air. Glenn, Glenn Jones, everybody, and Robert.
Hey guys.
I'm expecting you got one of those last-minute phone calls. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, sir. Hey, Robert, did you just get one of those prank Windows troubleshooting calls?
No.
I did. I had to play with them. I'm sorry. I had to play with them.
Let's get down and dirty here. Like I mentioned at the top of the show. Hey, by the way, before I go there real quick, hey guys, if you're watching to us on YouTube Live, use the Q&A app. And we are Tech and Coffee. We got a Twitter and a Facebook, Tech and Coffee 1. Our YouTube channel's Tech and Coffee. Hey, follow us on Google+. Search Tech and Coffee. Look for that gorgeous TNC logo. Check out our podcast. Tweet us at the #Tech and Coffee. As always, questions, comments, and snide remarks, aj@techandcoffee.info. Hey, guys, let's talk about the headphone jack. Has everybody seen this? I've noticed that Dave Gruber responded to Nalay Patel and totally disagreed with him on this article, basically comparing this to the floppy disk. That, you know, people could have argued, hey, we need to keep the floppy disk. It's a standard. But, you know, technology moved on, and that was his argument to Nalay. But basically, there's a lot of rumors out there. Anyone that's listening or watching don't know. There's a lot of rumors out there that the next iPhone will not have a standard jack, a standard headphone jack to stick headphones in, hardwired, and, you know, listen to sound that way. Instead, it's going to be everyone's speculating maybe a USB or a Lightning, more than likely a Lightning connector. to where you will have to buy a dongle, and probably Beats headphones will originally, it'll come to market. When they announce it, that Beats headphones will already be ready to go, and Beats iPhone or headphones are already overpriced, okay? And this is another ploy by Apple to charge too much for something that should be a standard, and they shouldn't get away with it. That's how a lot of people feels. So, with all of that said, I'm going to ask Bruce, is this moving forward, or is it a step backwards?
It is it is a major step backward. They are committing, and I was already going to say this, but you had already mentioned the word, but I was going to say they're committing dongle side. It's the same thing they did. It's ridiculous with their new MacBooks. They reduced the number of ports on there in order to do significant things with a MacBook Pro or with this new iPhone, if indeed the rumor is true. You got to have a dongle. Who wants to have a dongle? I mean, there's so many things. I'm going to be talking about this, but somebody that spent money for a Rode video mic, you can't use that on the iPhone, the new iPhone, if the rumor is true. All these great headphones and stuff like that have to use a dongle to keep up with another piece of equipment, because after all, you're going to need to be able to charge your iPhone when you're going down the road on a 6-hour trip and listen to the music at the same time. I agree with the article of the title of Nilai's article. It is user hostile and stupid.
Hey, Glenn. Oh, I'm sorry, Glenn muted himself. Hey, Robert, talk to me, man. Tell me what you think here.
Well, I do kind of see the point. We're making big jumps and advances in Bluetooth technology, that type of thing. So that does kind of address the charging versus listening stuff. However, as somebody who hangs out from their car quite frequently, I can tell you that Bluetooth is not the do-all, end-all answer to this type of thing. We're not there where Bluetooth can replace a physical wired connection. We're just definitely not there. I know that's what immediately jumps in everybody's head. Well, there's Bluetooth speakers, and there's Bluetooth microphones, and there's Bluetooth this, that, and the other. The bottom line is it's not perfect. And if you ever go into a coffee shop where there are a lot of Bluetooth devices, you're going to get a lot of interference from crosstalk. Yep. You've just got to avoid that. And the way that you do that is you plug in. Oh, wait, we don't have a spot to plug in anymore. What's going to happen in the coffee houses? Oh, no. It's a problem. It's idiotic.
Okay, Jeff, I'm going to let you at it next, man.
Yeah, it's basically I agree with everyone else. Why? It's something that's not needed. You don't need it, And yeah, there's a wired connection to your phone, but I kind of like it. Actually, it's the one wire connection that I do like to my phone. So if you want something that's different, you can buy a Bluetooth headset that works. It just drains the battery more and all that other stuff. And it's, again, I don't know. I think it's dumb. I think it's a ploy for them to sell more stuff like they normally do. And that's pretty much it. Generate money. As Glenn is going like this,
it's all about the green, baby. It's all about the green. I agree with you. I have to have that headphone jack just because when I'm mowing the yard, I don't want Bluetooth chewing the daylights out of my battery life. I want to have a hardwired connection where I can just plug in my earbuds and go at it and just mow the yard and not have to worry about sweat getting into my Bluetooth headset. These are, a dime a dozen. You can buy, decent cheap ones for nothing. So why get rid of them? The only thing I can think of is that they're wanting to go thinner. And what I think what they may do is go micro headphones port, like make it even smaller. The only issue with that could be that it would break easier and another adapter that you have to hold on to.
Yeah, but they're not. I don't think they're going to put a lightning port in there, correct? Is that the deal?
Well, no, the lightning port would just be the one on the bottom of the phone more than likely.
That's where the dongle would go, to where you would hook the new headset into it.
Okay, let me tell you who's going to be royally mad about this. Every single business traveler who spent $300 for a Bose noise-canceling headset is going to be royally PO'd and will never, never buy another Apple phone again.
You
Forget
know,
it.
And you think he's joking, but I'm thinking he's serious on this. That's
Time
when you
out.
get-
No, but you know what's going to happen? The
Uh,
dongle's going to have the regular 3.5 millimeter
Oh,
output jack.
isn't that stupid?
know-
Yeah.
Hey, let's, listen, we loved Apple Bash, but we're not just talking about Apple here. Rumors are very strong that the Motorola Z is not going to have a headphone jack either. It's going to take a similar approach with USB-C.
So in other words, they want to go even further down the toilet. It's not bad enough that Motorola has slid in quality and in performance and in market share. Now we're going to start taking features away.
Oh, but they got great batteries.
Yeah.
See, I think that's just it, and Nale makes a great point here. If Apple really wants to do something for the legions of fanboys, maybe they'll put a bigger battery in it and leave the headphone jack, because what we really scream for as smartphone users is better battery life.
Yeah, the iPhone 6 Plus, Julia has it, and it's a smidgen bigger than my phone. And if it had a better battery life, hers has a pretty decent battery life, pretty comparable to my Note 3, or Note 5, sorry. If it went a little bigger and I wasn't such a not-so-friendly Apple guy, I actually would probably go with the Note, or with the iPhone, 7 or whatever they're going to come out with, if it had a better battery life and, better features. But Samsung's got me pretty well right now, so.
So, Nale in this article, he uses a lot of negative words to describe Apple. But I guess I'm going to do this right here. Bruce, is Apple arrogant to do this, or are they stupid to do this?
With the R&D budget that they have, I can't say that they're stupid, but arrogant, probably. They think that it's arrogance to think that they can move the whole genre of smartphones in the direction that they want it to go. They're pushing too hard, in my opinion.
And I can already hear people hating against you right now, but there were touchscreen phones before the iPhone. And they did everything the iPhone did, especially in the original rendition of the iPhone, the 4 gig. You couldn't do anything with it. The App Store was unthought of yet. It didn't exist until the 4 gig was about halfway through its market run, and then they started the 8 gig. That's when they introduced the Apple market.
I do disagree with you. They had thought of it, because I watched the keynote live that Jobs delivered, and he talked about the coming App Store then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they had thought about it, but when they started with the 4, about halfway through, that's when they upped it to the 8. Because the 4, you just couldn't run anything except for the phone itself and a couple apps. That was about it.
His 6-point Duke is well taken when he says no one is asking for this. Have you heard anybody ask for this? Fewer ports, more dongles.
Yeah, well, like I say, it's I don't know, but when I buy a new phone, I expect it to do everything the old phone did and more. And to me, it's a step back now. To Dave's point, where he kind of scolded Nale. I do think that a time will come when that's true. It's time to say goodbye to the floppy drive and move on to bigger and better and faster. Okay? But
I don't want to.
Bluetooth is not that. Bluetooth is not a better listening experience overall than hardwired headphone jacks.
Yeah.
Well, everything is better when it's hardwired. it's faster, it's cleaner, it's just better. Usually, right? It picks up less interference.
Easier, easier because you're not having to worry about pairing it and if it's connected and.
You just have to make sure your office chair doesn't roll over the wire.
That's true.
Hey, you know how many times have you pulled your car into, well, here where I live, I pull my car into the garage. I don't have my Bluetooth phone set to the car because I'm just going really short. And I pull into the house, and if Leanna's on the phone with hers, it picks it up.
I've done that.
It's stuff like that happens that, you just don't, you don't want that, right? So
all of a sudden you've got mom's conversation coming over
another
the Bluetooth,
conversation.
And you're like, hold on, I'll get you back to her and turn the car off.
Yeah, exactly. And they have no idea what's going on, right? So
you can find many good, like if they have a special thing that they're trying to figure out to do for you, that's the best way to find out what's going on is just turn the car on, let the Bluetooth kick in. Oh, they're planning this kind of a click.
All right, hey guys, I'm going to move on to the next article here. I don't think we'll spend much time here, but I did think it was worth a discussion with you guys. Word came out this week that Huawei, I think they're the second or third largest manufacturer of smartphones in the world, are working.
Android phones, yeah.
They're working on their own version of Android. Think another forked Amazon version of Android. And I think after this story broke, the CEO said, he didn't totally deny it, but he did deny it. He said, well, no, we're not really doing that, but at the same time, we need to, take care of ourselves should our relationship with Google falter. And it very well could, given that, there's a lot of rumors that we'll talk about later about Google building their own smartphone. So, as someone who is the proud owner of a Huawei-built phone, I've got some opinions about this because I'm a Google fanboy also. And I do not want to see another forked version of this myself. I think the more that Google's the same, the better it is for me, the end user. So somebody jump in here. Give me some opinions on this, Jeff.
Tyson.
Well, that's a very good example, and I think Samsung in the East is doing a pretty good job with their version of it, aren't they?
Yeah, and they're rolling it into their TV sets, so, maybe they're thinking, I'm going to expand this operating system and come up with our own and do it in such a way that when I build other products, this might be something I can use. I think companies have to protect themselves to a certain degree. But not to the pace of putting all their eggs in one basket and saying, okay, we're going down this route, and then it fails, and then all their resources and everything just went down the toilet. So as long as they stick to it and they have another kind of wearable thing they're going to wrap around it, with the watches or something like that, it's okay. I'm not against it. I just they got to do what they got to do.
Well, like I say, I've been playing with this stuff for goodness, 20 years now, and so I don't think I'm normal. I think at the end of the day, most people buy a product because they expect it to do something. They saw it advertised and they expect it to work like it advertised, and I really don't think they care if Apple or Google or Oracle or HP necessarily invented it or made it. Would y'all agree with me on that?
Yeah. You're talking about it like the Android operating system. They don't care who it's free. They can use it.
I think the normal person doesn't really care that it's Tizen. They care that it's a watch that does stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
They want it to work without really much fuss. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it works across different platforms, like say the Pebble Watch, right? That operating system, as long as it talks to where it wants to talk to everybody, or more than one OS or whatever, it's interoperable. That's what people care about, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's one Chinese company that's known to make a pretty good cheap phone, and also make some pretty high-end expensive phones also.
Plus, they make the watch, right? Which is
Yes, the most popular, or I should say the most expensive, but everyone says that it's the nicest.
yeah.
Since you mentioned Chinese, let me mention one other thing from the story that I think is worth considering, and that is by this guy Charles King, who said the idea of how a Huawei looking into its own Android version is reasonable, as in trying to protect themselves, but could also mainly be about aligning the company with the Chinese governments in China for China policies. That could hurt them in Western sales. Would I want to have a phone that has an operating system on it that, that's according, for China and China policies, when there's been these issues between China and Google in the past? That'd be another thing to consider. It's
That's
iffy.
true.
It's a risk.
And I've got some questions around the Chinese phones that I think you can reiterate what you just said, Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
And that issue came up during the Olympics. There, when they had all the cellular people with their phones, they thought that the Chinese were listening in or grabbing information from the cellular network, and you just don't know. You don't know, right?
Yeah. And I also heard that they sold that information to Donald Trump. Okay, listen, as we move on, and I'm just going to prepare anybody listening from this point forward, we're going to be talking about a lot of inexpensive Chinese phones, because the next thing I want us to talk about is the OnePlus 3. Now, I'll tell you, the OnePlus 1 was, it created some waves. It was, but they were a small company. They couldn't mass produce, so they came up with an invite system and made some mistakes along the way. They were, some of their contests and all were racy. Then they introduced the 2, and the 2 was a fail. It was almost a step back. I mean, just right off the top of my head, it was missing NFC, and I was like, oh, forget that. I mean, I don't use NFC often, but I use it quite a bit, and it is a coming standard when you talk about, Android Pay and other things.
Right.
But now they've introduced the 3, and I got to tell you guys, I think they've hit a home run here. It's priced right at $400, so it's one of the more expensive Chinese phones we're going to be talking about tonight. But from everything that I've read about it, and I haven't held one in my hand yet, I think OnePlus is doing a great job here of appealing to the West with their offerings here. And, you think $400, and you look at some other flagships out there from, Samsung and LG, maybe HTC. $400 is cheaper than most of those flagships, and son of a gun if it isn't pretty impressive spec-wise. So, hey, Robert, you were dissing Motorola earlier on the slipping quality, and now they're going to take features away. Maybe you're not very happy, because I know you've been loyal since I've known you. So here's the deal. Since I've known you, you have tried to own nothing but Motorola phones. Now, Bruce, when I met Bruce, he actually had an iPhone, but he made a switch to Samsung, and he's been loyal to Samsung ever since that Note 2. So, Robert, I'm going to ask you, would you consider something like the OnePlus versus Motorola something that you've been loyal to for several years now?
Oddly enough, I am at the point now where, yes, I'm frustrated with Motorola with their updates. I'm frustrated in that they promised updates and then reneged. Not didn't, just delayed, but actually said, yeah, we said you were going to see Marshmallow on this phone, but no, you're not going to see Marshmallow on that phone. And did that within 1 year of releasing the phone. That's a problem. When manufacturers are going to take that kind of back step, there's something wrong. Part of that is that Motorola went to China. Okay, that's a bad thing. That's a really bad thing for Motorola. Now that makes me, I'm back in the market again, and it would be foolish of me not to consider these Chinese phones that are coming out like the OnePlus. Now, granted, I wasn't a fan of their initial offering and how they did the distribution of the initial offering, but obviously they've overcome those distribution shortcomings and now are ready to play ball in the big-time field.
But then you're going to have to change carriers because the Verizon Wireless LTE band does not work on the OnePlus 3.
That is true.
Yeah.
And guess what? As the little guy says, can you hear me now? Well, maybe not to Sprint, but certainly I'm looking at AT&T. God, don't hate me. Or even the Un-carrier.
No.
Hey, T-Mobile's been good to me so far.
But now, what do you think about, say, you accidentally crack your phone, right? If you took it to, you think you could find a replacement? You could take it to a regular place and have them replace the screen on it.
Standard distribution from Verizon now comes from their distribution centers and is 3 days.
No. But with the OnePlus 3, I mean, if you crack it, you know, is it the same kind of AMOLED screen that goes into every other Samsung phone or whatever LG phone, or is it?
Right. Well, I understand what you're saying. Your point is, I'm assuming, I'm trying to read between the lines. Are you saying that there should be a concern that I can't walk into a OnePlus store and get a replacement phone, right?
Well, not a OnePlus store, but just a regular, you know, cell phone repair store, right? That you can.
I don't think there's going to be a problem getting the parts in a repair center per se. I think they'll be able to have the parts. But right now, if I crack my phone and I go to Verizon, guess what? They will not give me a new Turbo 2.
No.
They will make me send my Turbo 2 in, and then they will send me a replacement back. It's a 3 to 5 day wait time. So no matter what, even if I crack the OnePlus screen and I bring it to the repair shop and the repair shop doesn't have it, they're going to tell me, sorry, we're going to have to order it off of Amazon. It'll be here in 2 days.
You know, I'm not going to get into it here on the show, but you have kind of piqued my interest, Jeff. I would think that right now, if there is such a standard in an Android screen size, it's a 5.5-inch AMOLED, okay? And I don't know if they're cross, if one will work on another, because they all, you know. But there's several 5.5-inch screens out there. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And I'll check in on that. That's interesting. But listen, guys. I mean, if you look at this spec-wise, this is a pretty impressive phone. At $400 outright, but it does come with the caveats like you guys are talking about. Service. Because you're buying this phone outright, and you know, and let's face it, guys, people have problems with phones, and that is one advantage that does come from buying direct from a carrier. So
what also comes from buying from a carrier is a locked bootloader like mine. Even though I own the phone, I can't put what I want on it. So there's no cyanogen mod for me, nothing, because even though I own it outright, because it is a Verizon branded phone that I bought in the store, I cannot root it, mod it, do anything to it. Period. End of story.
How good is Motorola in your, or Motorola? Gosh, T-Mobile in your area? How good? I mean, do you know people that are on T-Mobile?
Yes, I know people that are on T-Mobile, and T-Mobile is very good in the city. I live somewhat rural, and so I have problems with all the carriers. So what I have to do is have a femtocell in my home, which actually uses my network internally at my house. That I have to do that for Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, doesn't matter who it is I have. I would have to do that. But in the city, T-Mobile performance is equivalent to Verizon. Equivalent.
So, and doesn't T-Mobile offer Wi-Fi calling as well?
T-Mobile does. In fact, my phone and Julia's phone both can do Wi-Fi calling. No need for the femtocell.
Right.
It's okay. It'll get you by.
Well, I have the femtocell in my home, and Verizon actually offers Wi-Fi calling also on some of their phones. The Turbo 2 has it. And here's what I found. The Wi-Fi calling is not nearly as good as the femtocell. If you've got the femtocell in your house, you're going to have crystal clear calling as long as you've got good, decent internet, which I do. It works flawlessly. But just using the Wi-Fi calling, it's a crapshoot.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's move on. Let's talk about some other Chinese phones. Hey guys, as soon as it decides to work for me, this right here is a Huawei. It's called the Honor 5X. It's got an aluminum body. It comes unlocked. This is the 16 gigabyte variant. It has a United States warranty. It's got 809 customer reviews, and it's rated 4 1/3 stars. And let me enlarge this a little bit so if people are watching via YouTube, you can see what I'm talking about. Guys, this phone is being sold right now on Amazon for $194.59.
Dual SIM, micro USB, micro SD, yeah.
It's compatible across all 4 U.S. carriers. Okay.
Well, not
No.
No, not Verizon.
Oh, I'm
No
sorry.
service for Sprint or Verizon.
I see that. Sprint or Verizon. I'm sorry. Okay. And listen, and you can move up in price. You can add a Huawei smartwatch and spend $550. But the point that I'm trying to make here, and all of these are just different colors of the same phone. Real quick, Glenn mentioned it's unlocked, dual SIM, LTE, supports nano SIM, micro SD, up to 128 gigs. Listen, it's pretty good looking. It's got a fingerprint reader. It's coming with Lollipop. Okay, 2 gigs of RAM. It's got a 64-bit octa-core processor, 13 megapixel camera. All right.
That's no slouch.
For less than $200. Okay, I mean, I'm telling you, that's not top of the line. But that looks like a whole lot of phone. At least to me, it looks like a lot of phone for $200.
Yeah, that's no slouch. That's a pretty good phone.
All right. Hey, let's see. I thought I had another one up here.
There was George's favorite, the blue phones.
Yeah, the blue, and you know, I will have to say George isn't here to defend this, so I won't talk too bad, but I'll have to say I don't think the blues are bad phones, but I've yet to see a blue phone take a good picture. That's about the only negative that I have, but you know, this one's $150.
Yeah.
Let's see, no Sprint or Verizon, and most of the time on these are GSM. But this is a good-looking phone, 16 gigabyte memory, 2 gig of RAM, micro SD support up to 64 gigs. It's got a 13 megapixel main camera. And here again, $150 for this phone. Okay.
It's pretty.
Really quick, let me do one more. There was another one here. I never saw it, but I was so impressed when I looked at this. Let's see, it might have been.
What's that LG G4 for only
$172.99.
Yeah, it's an LG.
Yep.
Oh, was it the Junning that you were looking at? Or whatever it was.
I honestly don't remember. Okay, yeah, here we go. Here we get into the Huawei right here. This is the P8, $177. Okay, on this particular one, there's only one left in stock. List price on this is $250. Let's look at the specs on it. It's a 1.5 64-bit octa-core. It's a 615 processor. Okay, it's 5-inch. It's got Gorilla Glass, 1280 by 720 resolution, 13 megapixel rear camera. It does state here that it may not include a U.S. warranty, as some manufacturers do not honor warranties for international version phones.
Yeah, you may want to look at the U.S. version up above there.
Yeah, U.S. version right here.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 220.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad phone.
And there's 6 in stock. There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to make, and guys, you probably don't remember this. I do. But, at the end of 2014, we did a show, and I asked you to give tech predictions, and I said that 2015 was going to be the year of the Chinese phone, that we were going to see all kinds of Chinese phones in America for around the $200 price point. It really didn't happen. It didn't happen in 2015. Okay? But, man, 2016, I'm seeing these things all over the place. I'm seeing legitimate Android sites review these phones and brag on them.
Yeah.
And that's, I start asking the question, am I still willing to pay? Would I be willing to pay, Bruce, $700 outright for an unlocked Samsung Galaxy 7 when maybe I could get one of these phones for, some of them do run $400 or $500, which is more likely where I'd spend my money. But, Bruce, would you, a loyal Samsung guy, would you consider one of these Chinese phones based on price and specs?
Well, we were talking about retirement earlier, weren't we? I'll guarantee you, I am going the other direction on phones from this point out. I'm going to be regressing. I'm just not going to. I don't see the need to spend the amount of money I've been spending phones when I'm living on a more limited income. So yes, I would consider it very definitely.
Jeff, I know what'd you buy the LG G4?
G3.
G3, okay. Yeah, and listen, you've been satisfied with that phone, have you not?
Exactly. I'm completely satisfied. So, and here's the thing. I'm the same as Bruce and you perhaps, and Robert, that, I'm limiting what I need the phone for, right? I'm basically, maybe a nice camera for taking decent shots, but good battery life, multitasking to a degree, right? I use it for navigation. I use it for GPS. But other than that, it's definitely the curve is going a different direction. So I'm with you guys. I would try out these phones. For $200, that's almost disposable, right? Really. If it doesn't.
And listen, if you want to talk disposable, there's a lot of blue phones on Amazon for $65.
Yeah, $65 to $100. They're really low horsepower, but I mean, if you need a phone that can maybe take a picture, do some GPS, and make a phone call, horsepower is not really needed at that point.
I turn my old phones into monitoring phone cameras. I mean, you could do whatever you want with them. Because you put an IP camera on it, and you can just use it for that if you wanted to.
So, Robert, I think you've kind of answered this, but I want to give you directly the same question I gave Jeff and Bruce. I know you're kind of a slave to Verizon right now, but if you were leaving Verizon for T-Mobile or AT&T, would you consider buying one of these phones and take with you to the new carrier?
Well, my biggest problem is that I like Verizon for when I travel. So I really have been trying to hang on to them as long as I possibly can. It's getting more and more difficult because I don't have $600 or $700 to drop on a phone. If a Chinese manufacturer came out with a $200 to $250 phone that was CDMA, without a doubt, without a doubt, Motorola could kiss my behind. I'd drop them in a second, and I'd pick up one of these because it's almost disposable. It's close enough in the amount of money that I'd be willing to spend to give to my 14-year-old son and not freak out if he drops it like he did on our last vacation, or happens to be standing next to the waterfall, slips, and ends up in the water with the phone in his hand. You know, I'm not going to panic over a $200 phone. So yes, I definitely would be looking at it, even though not like Bruce is saying, more to be more budget conscious, but because I have boys who are rough on them, and I don't want to spend $600 or $700. They don't need that high premium quality phone. They need a phone that allows them to text their girlfriend, make a phone call, and call dad every now and again, and maybe send an email or two. That's it.
And you can track where they are.
Hush, Jeff, hush. They don't know that she's there.
So listen. What about one of these Chinese phones? We've talked about Motorola quite a bit tonight, but the Moto G. The Moto G. What's it typically priced at? Right around $250. Somebody look that up real quick.
I think it's a little more than that. Hang on.
And we've kind of looked at the Moto G through all three iterations of it as being a very reliable, decent, low-cost phone.
200?
200. 199 is what I'm seeing for the third generation.
Okay, so Robert, if you were gonna buy a phone, and would it come? You were on Amazon. Would it come down to an unlocked Moto G, or for a similarly priced no name, or not necessarily no name, but a Chinese phone?
Yeah, but compare the specs of the Moto G to the phones that we were just looking at for $200 and $250. They're much more phone than what the Moto G offers. Much more phone than the Moto G. Not that the Moto G's bad, but give me a better camera, give me a little bit better sound quality, a little bit bigger screen. Most definitely, the Chinese beat the Moto G hands down.
The Moto G is a Chinese phone, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is manufacturers that we're not familiar with in the West.
Right.
Okay. All right, man. Hey, let's move on here. I'll tell you what. We're getting late in the game. I'm going to save this one for next week. Let's go ahead and give our apps and tips, and we'll talk about next week about Google rumors that they are designing their own Android phone, both hardware and software. So, gang, you can look forward to that next week. Hey, everybody, we are Tech and Coffee. Head on over to techandcoffee.info. Click on the link. In fact, you know what? Let me just quit talking about it. Let's just do it this way. Go to the Google store for Chrome and get the Tech and Coffee extension loaded into your browser. And guess what, man? Right here, this top link that says Main G Plus Hangout, click on it. And you know what? You can come and hang out with us and many more from United States, from the United Kingdom, and other places. I'm telling you right now, a bunch of friendly folks. We love to talk tech and more. Hey, we've got a Twitter and a Facebook account. You can follow us at Tech and Coffee 1. We've got a YouTube account that you can find. Hey, you might even be watching this video right now from our YouTube account. Tech and Coffee. Our favorite social network is Google+. Hey, search on us and look for that gorgeous T&C logo. You can listen to this podcast on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and Player FM. hey, if you're going to speak to us through social media, please use the hash Tech and Coffee. And as always, gang, if you've got any questions, comments, or snide remarks, AJ at techandcoffee.info. Bruce, what have you got to share with us tonight, my friend? You're muted, brother.
You stay muted,
Bruce, you're muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. During the time that we were on sabbatical, a lot of things changed for all of us. The phones that we're using, I'm now using a Samsung Galaxy S7. Glenn's moved from the Note 3 to the Note 5. So there have been some hardware changes, and I've started to do some stuff on YouTube. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about hardware that I'm using for my new rig right now. And I'm going to talk to you basically about a couple things. The first one is this Manfrotto tripod. I really like it because if you can see as I turn it around, the handle is rounded when it's closed up. Now when you open it up, it makes a really good solid tripod, but when you close it, it's really nice to hold, and it's got this button on the front. When you push that button, you can make this phone go, the angle of the phone go anywhere you want, and then when you release the button, it stays in that place. It is really, really nice. So I can set this on the table at a coffee shop. I did a video one time. I set this on. I straddled a park bench with this thing and just opened it up, and kind of slid it on the back there. The other thing that improved my audio is this Rode Video Mic Me, and this is a really great microphone. It is a mini boom. It is directional. It is not a condenser mic. It has great rejection from behind and on the sides. I have learned some things about this, and one of the things I learned is if you want to take good quality video on your smartphone, and boy, you can do that. This phone right here has got an amazing camera. I can shoot 4K if I want to. Right now I do most all my videos at 1080p at 60 frames per second, which is really, really nice. But you want to make sure when you're doing any kind of video shooting with your phone, whether you're using a portable mini boom like this or not, and that is to go into airplane mode. You don't want a GSM phone pinging off the tower every once in a while because it'll produce some noise, and I learned that the hard way in one of my videos. And then the Rode Video Mic Me comes with this really great, well, people call it a dead wombat. If you were to buy this thing separately on Amazon, they sell this exact one that you see here, $25 all by itself. But if you do the whole thing like I've got right here, the Rode Video Mic Me is $59, and it comes with that great mic muff there, and it's huge. It looks funny. One other thing about this, you want to make sure if you're going to use this Video Mic Me, you want to make sure that your phone, and I'll just take that off so you can see. You want to make sure that your headphone jack, did you hear me, Apple? Your headphone jack is on the opposite end of your camera. So my camera's here, my headphone jack is here. If your headphone jack is on the same end of your camera, that thing sticks out far enough, it might pick up some of it. So just great hardware, Manfrotto tripod, Rode Video Mic Me for your mic and your audio. This is a really nice rig, guys. Trust me, it's really nice.
That's a very nice looking tripod also, Bruce. You know, I'd seen actually seen your microphone, and I was very impressed with it, but that's a nice looking tripod, and I might be talking to you after the show to learn more about that. Thank you. Hey, Glenn, what do you got, brother? Hey, wait, before I go to you, Glenn, I just want to say hi back to Brad in Australia, man. Appreciate the shout out on Twitter, and yeah, have a great one over there, brother. And Glenn, what you got, man?
Well, I couldn't do the being able to screen share just yet. I'm still working on that with my phone, but I do have, for anybody who's into RC airplanes and stuff like that, there are a couple of really good sims, and if you're thinking about RC, this one actually is one that I would consider. You're not going to learn everything that you need to know, and this is probably not going to come through at all, but I'm going to try and fly just like this. So I've got controls over here, and let me see. Oh yeah, this is going to be great. All right, let's see what we do. All right, and
So it's a
where
flight simulator?
play? Yes, and I just nailed the ground, but oh well. So basically, what it is, I'll let it reset itself here in a second. It'll start flying. You'll see it. So you've got in this one, you've got a glider, and you can see over here. So you basically just practice your flying. It's real cheap. It's actually free, which is the great free 99. It's called. Let me get back here. Pika Sim, Picasim. It's fun if you're in a doctor's office and you just, for guys like me, I love to fly RC airplanes when I can. And if I'm in an office and I'm just killing time, this is a great way to do it. I can just sit there and I practiced flying 3D with it. So taking planes and hovering them, doing acrobatic things and all that, crashing them every single time, guaranteed. But it's great because I'm not spending $400 to $1,000 per plane. I'm just playing a game, basically. So it's a fun game. Give it a try. They have a free version, I think, for everything, and then you can buy extra features into it, like everything else. But Pika Sim, Picasim.
All right. Thank you so much, Glenn. Jeff, you're up, brother.
Well, again, I'm bad boy. I really don't have anything, but I have to share one thing. It's called touch-up paint for your car or RV before you sell things. This is really, really good. Always use the touch-up paint. And number two, if you're selling an RV, put the highest octane gas in it before you go and drive it and show it to people. It has so much more power.
Jeff, I just pulled that app out of my phone. I just went, that one looks good.
All right.
But the higher octane gas is a definite thing you want to do.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Since I'm getting ready to sell mine, I'll take that advice to heart. Okay, Robert, what do you got, man?
But you know what? I've been trying for the last, 2 or 3 weeks to do the Amazon Fire Stick review for you guys, like I did the Roku review. And unfortunately, I ran into a little bit of difficulties. I now have so many multimedia devices, but only so many ports in which to plug them. It was a problem. So before I do the Fire Stick review, which I will do next week, I thought I would share with you what I found on Amazon. Now, I remember Bruce had mentioned this about a year ago. He bought an HDMI switch to switch HDMI on his TV. I think he said he spent about $40 for that switch. Came with a remote. I was like, you know what, I'll swap things around. I don't need to pay that much for just a little switch. I was farting around on Amazon, and I found this lovely little device. It is a 3-bay switcher. So you've got one HDMI that goes to your TV. You can plug in 3 HDMI devices, and it has a little light and a button there to select. Well, of course, I don't want to have to get out of a chair every time, so I'm really, really lazy. It also comes with a little remote and an IR plug so that you can actually hide this behind your entertainment center or behind wherever and just have the little IR that works with the remote, and that works really well. It is powered. You do have to have power for it, though they say that you can get some HDMI devices will supply enough power to actually power the switch. I have not tried that. It does come with the power supply to plug it in. The best part about this is it wasn't $40. It was a grand total. Get ready. Hang on, Bruce. $9.39 on Amazon.
And I ordered 2 of them today.
$9.39. I couldn't pass it by. Could not pass it by. It is the Vigon 3-port in, 1-out switch. You'll find it on Amazon Prime, $9.39. If you are like me and you are into multimedia, you've got Rokus and Raspberry Pis and Fire Sticks and all these other things, they work great. One caveat about this particular device, however, is that there are a few reviews that say that this does not work well with game machines, PS4s, and so forth. So if you're doing multimedia, Fire Stick, Roku, etc., this would be fine. But if you're looking to do a gaming device, I suggest you plug that directly into the TV, not into the Switch. So that's my little hardware tip for this week, and I promise next week we're going to look at the Fire Stick on the TV using the Switch.
I was about to mute you because we do not take any excuses, but you saved it because I bought 2 of those earlier. But then we have the tech and coffee effect where somebody will buy something and then they show it, they drop the link in the chat in the tech and coffee, and all of a sudden it's like everybody clicks it. It's like, ooh, click and buy. So yeah, just have your wallet ready when you're in tech and coffee. Sometimes that happens.
The good news is that it's usually fairly cheap.
Yeah, we're really good at keeping it cheap, just a lot of it.
I did a little family IT support for my sister-in-law, the one I put the Linux on the old Dell. She left me 2 Amazon cards. They're already loaded and ready to go.
There you go.
I've got an Amazon and an eBay card for Father's Day, and I haven't loaded them yet, so I need to get on that. Okay, hey, listen, I've got a real simple tip. First of all, hey, if you've got an Android device, doesn't have to be a phone, but if you've got an Android device and you use Google Chrome, go ahead and get Google Chrome open on your PC and play along with me, because this is a really simple but very powerful tip. And while you're doing that, you know, most of us, I believe, have Device Manager installed on our Android devices. We're looking at Device Manager for my Huawei Nexus 6P here right now. And if you'll notice down on the bottom, I do have some options. I can ring the phone, I can lock the phone, I can erase it. But also, I can, oh, and I like this too. It says that it found it just now in my hand. Okay, but I can hit the little drop down here, and right here are some other phones that I have active here right now, and I'm going to select my tablet, and it goes out and it finds my tablet. So Device Manager is a really, really cool app, okay? But here's something that a lot of people don't know. You don't need Device Manager to find your lost or stolen phone. And it's really simple to do this. All you have to do is open up your Google Chrome browser, and again, I'm going to reiterate this. You have to have Google Chrome, you have to have an Android device, and the profile must be the same in Google Chrome as it is on the Android device. In other words, if your name is Glenn Deadbeat Jones at gmail.com, it needs to be that in Chrome and on the Android device. Okay? So now, you've lost your Android phone.
There's a snide remark coming to AJ.
How do you find your phone? Okay, you open up your Google browser and you type in the obvious, play along with me here, type find space my space phone.
Mm-hmm. Where is my phone will work as well.
Hit enter. It will always ask you to sign in just to make sure that you're you. And here is me, and I sign in, and it goes to look for my phone. Okay? Now, it does take a few seconds here for it to find the phone. And if you'll notice, it's finding my tablet. I don't want it to find my tablet. I want it to find my phone. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it here. And it's located here in Colonial Heights, Tennessee. That is my zip code. And it tells me that it's accurate to 113 feet. Now, I've tried this several times. The best that I've seen accuracy on this is at 65 feet. Okay. Oh, look, it just dialed in to 65 feet as I said that. Very cool. So, now then, if you'll notice right here on the bottom right, I have two options to ring and recover. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ring my phone now, and I've got the phone screen up. Here's what I want you to see. I am adjusting my audio to totally off. Okay? This is alarms only. So that means that if something comes in, it's not even going to vibrate. But when I tell Google to ring my phone, it rings it. And now then. So we can find our phone that way. But what if it's stolen? How are we going to recover it? So these are, according to Google, the mini Android phones that I have activated. A couple of these repeat themselves because I reformatted them, and for some reason or another, Google didn't recognize them as the same phone when I reset them. Anyway, here is my Huawei Nexus 6P phone. I'm pretty sure it's stolen. And these are the features. Here again, no app to do this. All I had to have active on my Android device, I should have said this earlier, is I have to have Google Now activated. This is all, Google Now makes all of this happen. Okay? So at this point, I can lock my phone and I can set a password to where, you know, it's a new password. Or I can send the finder of my phone a new message. You know, maybe reward of $50 if returned to me. All right? And then I can actually come here and give maybe my home phone number, my wife's number, a work number, just another phone number to where the person who finds this phone can see this number and call it and let me know. Of course, I can go on. There are other options here that I'm not going to get into. You can go ahead and lock it at this point. Yeah, you can try calling it again. You can sign out. You can contact your carrier. There's other means, and then you can even erase it from this point. It's a few clicks to erase, but you get the idea. So again, guys, if you lose your phone, the only thing that you need to remember is open up Google and type in "Find My Phone."
Mm-hmm.
And that is my tip for this week. Did anybody else play along?
I love that feature. When you
Yeah, me
discovered
too.
that and shared that with me,
Unfortunately, I just had to use that feature with my brother, and the phone had just died. The battery had just died. So now it's tear apart the house and find the phone.
So, as a bonus, you can also open up Google Browser and say something to the effect, "Remind me to fix my weed eater tomorrow at 8 p.m." And it will all be there to add as a notification on your phone. All you have to do is click add, and it inserts it into Google Now. And at 8 p.m. tomorrow, you will get a notification to fix your weed eater. It's amazing. I'll tell you one area that it failed me though. When I was testing this a few days ago, I asked it to tell me to grow hair at 5 p.m. and it never happened. I got the notification, but the hair never grew. So, yeah.
it didn't promise that you'd grow hair. It just would remind you to grow hair.
It's not a miracle worker.
Very true. Hey, gang.
You didn't say where.
Next week, we're going to talk about Google phone rumors. There are some rumors out there that Google is going to build a device to control both the hardware and the software. And we've heard this rumor before, but this time it seems to have really grown legs. And I'll be asking the panel about it. So you guys have a great rest of the week. We are Tech and Coffee's Android Journal. and we're looking forward to seeing you in 7. Say good night, gang.
Good night.
Good night, gang.
Night, John boy.
Bazinga.